In our gospel, the Jews speak of how their ancestors ate manna in the desert. This points us to the book of Exodus, where we hear that for 40 long years the people wandered in the desert, but they were fed by God, by this manna, this bread come down from heaven. Jesus, though, points out that this bread was still passing. Those people would still die. Christ, on the other hand, is himself the living bread, the eternal bread that brings us to true life in heaven. He says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger. Whoever believes in me will never thirst. He alone satisfies our desire for eternity, our desire for perfect peace and joy in union with God in heaven. The bread that he gives us is his body and blood in the Eucharist. It truly does satisfy. It also unites us to himself. See, normally when we eat things, they become part of us. I eat a carrot, and part of it is transformed into cells of my body. It literally becomes part of me. But there's that phrase, you are what you eat. It's literally true of the Eucharist. That when we eat the Eucharist, rather than it becoming part of us, we become part of it. We are transformed more and more into the body of Christ. And so we speak too of the church as the body of Christ, as we read in St. Paul. That as a community of those who eat his body and drink his blood, we become just that, the mystical body of Christ, his members here on earth and in heaven. And so, with gratitude for this great gift of the Eucharist, even though in these days we can't receive it, we can think of that beautiful reality, that the Lord gives us what we need to be united to himself. That through that we reach the perfect joy that he calls us to, ultimately in heaven with God.